but I want to try saving this crying child.
What? I don't believe it! Kidding.
It's just as I expected.
Before we hop in this review of Chapter 305 of My Hero Academia, please do me a favor and leave a like, drop a comment down below of your own thoughts on the chapter, and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got the pencil here, and here we are to review Chapter 305 of My Hero Academia. And, yeah, it's exactly as I expected. But it's worse than no, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. It's worse than I expected. Now, here's the thing. There's not much to summarize in this chapter. In short, Nana asked the question that I was excited for last chapter. Turns out to be a test. Midoriya passes the test with flying colors. Bada bing, bada boom, you have a chapter. Now, here's the thing. I was already expecting Midoriya to say no, that he wasn't going to kill Shigaraki. However, what punched me in the stomach personally, what hit me different, is while I can fundamentally understand what Midoriya is talking about in the sense of Shigaraki. Even though I don't, because Shigaraki's a mass murderer that seems way beyond saving and redemption. But that's just me. That's just me. I know a lot of people have different beliefs than mine, including Midoriya. However, the thing that punched me in the stomach specifically, because fine, I'll let Shigaraki slide. I really think I shouldn't, considering he is the definition of a mass murderer who has no empathy and nothing but contempt for the current world and the people who abandon him, and really has no reason to become a good guy after all that he's been through, all he's done, and what has happened to him in his life as an individual. Apparently, Midoriya sees that differently. But what hurts me, not about that, is whatever. I'll let that slide. I'll talk about that in a second. What hurts me is, well, no, I can't. That's the thing. Muscular being there in this, they had their way set inside them. I had no choice to stop them but by fighting. But I never had the opportunity to explore the motivations and pinpoint exactly why they became villains. If I understood them fully, some things may have gone differently. Our fights could have resolved differently, perhaps. Now, here's the thing. Fine, I will let Gentle slide. Gentle is a case of a villain that was created by the world. I will give him that. Shigaraki is an example of the villain that was created by the world. I will give him that. I'm not entirely sure of Overhaul's 100% backstory, but it seems like Overhaul made himself a villain. But sure, Overhaul was a person who was into discussion. Sure, I'll let that slide, even though I really don't want to, since Overhaul was also down with the mass murder and corruption of the entire world. And also, Stain. I don't think Stain was a person who was willing to shift on his ideals. I doubt Stain is a person willing to shift on his ideals even now. But fine, I'll let him... Muscular being there punches me in the stomach so gosh darn hard. Really, Midoriya, do you think you could have talked to Muscular? Why didn't you try? And here's the thing. I understand. He says it himself. I fought many people thus far, and they had their way set inside them. I had no choice to stop them but by fighting. However, Shigaraki has more than his ways set inside him. He has all for one set inside him. He literally has a legacy of darkness that, to the One for All user's point, must be destroyed. If All for One had died up to this point, we'd be in a completely different world. If One for All had actually succeeded in its purpose of destroying All for One, not gonna lie, I don't know, maybe all this mess wouldn't be happening. Maybe so many villains wouldn't be empowered. Maybe the Nomu crisis wouldn't even be happening. Maybe all these different things that can only happen because of All for One couldn't happen if All for One died. Wow, isn't that wild? And you know what's even more wild? The idea that we're gonna try and keep Shigaraki alive. Now, here's the thing. I will give Midoriya credit. Before y'all get mad at me for attacking Midoriya, one, I already admit, I understand why Midoriya is gonna do this. I understand why I'm not surprised. This is what Midoriya is. He's the perfect, pure, idealistic character that wants to save everybody. That is his purpose within the narrative. I personally don't like that. That's the only reason I'm criticizing it. However, from a character writing perspective, this is the only choice that made sense. That's why I was not surprised. This is the only way Midoriya could be taken as shown so far. However, this is something that I personally just have a problem with. This is not a criticism to Horikoshi's writing. I'm not saying this is bad writing. As much as I would want to say it, because Midoriya wants to let a mass murderer slide, I mean, not necessarily slide. We know he wants to beat him up. But do we though? He doesn't even... I'm so confused. But no, I'm not confused. Midoriya will beat. Actually, based off what he said, I don't think he even wants to beat up Shigaraki anymore. Actually, legitimately, he says One for All is a power to save people, not to kill. So I'm assuming that means he's going to fight Shigaraki. But what literally hurts me is he literally says, countless people died. And many of those I hold dear got hurt. However, and I know he goes on to say one for all has the power to save people, not to kill. That's fine. However, I think the big lingering question that makes me want to either slap Midoriya across the face or pat him on the back like the one for all users are doing is, what does he mean by save Shigaraki? Like, he realizes that they 100% believe that Shigaraki is unsavable. Yes, this was a test to test Midoriya's will or whatever, since they know that All for One can be taken by, literally, if you have too weak a will, if you're indecisive, One for All can be snatched away. It makes me question, what does Midoriya mean by save Shigaraki? Because even the One for All users admit, Shigaraki, if he reaches his full potential, which considering he has all the time in the world to now that the world's in chaos, if he reaches that full potential, the world's over. He's a manifestation of pure evil that whose eyes literally held nothing but contempt for those around him. He literally hated them. And it's, as Nana says, no one will be able to stop what's next. You would be fighting against the manifestation of pure evil. And here's the thing, she even straight up says, there are people out there who cannot be forgiven, comprehended, or rehabilitated. What if he's one of them? And I suppose Midoriya's whole argument for, Shigaraki is very likely one of them is the idea that when he was in the Vestige world, when he felt Shigaraki, that he felt that child crying. But what if that child wasn't crying tears of sadness like Midoriya instantly interpreted? What if he was crying tears of anger and disgust and hatred like Shigaraki's been established to? I know Midoriya hasn't seen what we've seen. Midoriya is a character locked within his own part of the narrative that has no idea of what Shigaraki has been through. But honestly, while I can entirely see what everyone's saying, everyone's talking about, especially y'all in the comment section, shout outs to y'all, the idea that Shigaraki is likely going to flip on All for One, become a good guy in his last moments, and destroy All for One once and for all. And here's the thing, I'm not saying that would shoot Shigaraki's character, but it would make me like him a whole lot less. Because the thing is, the one thing I love about Shigaraki so much is that he had such a strong iron will. And the things he was willing to do with that iron will were massively destructive. And as much as I like Shigaraki for that, as much as I like his determination, his power, his drive, his madness, that's not something that can be stopped. That's something that needs to be, that's not something that can be saved or rehabilitated or comprehended to or understood. Shigaraki is sort of in this state that's beyond human comprehension, unbound by anything but the things that literally hold him back in the case of All for One himself. But as Redestro notes in Shigaraki's arc, Shigaraki has achieved a state of some sort of transcendence. Shigaraki is barely a person anymore. He's a thing that cares for nothing but destruction. And while that may have been because of whatever his tutelage was, how he was raised, that has become an integral part of who Shigaraki is. That's Shigaraki. So if he gets saved, which is very likely, I can very easily see the series ending with Shigaraki being saved and All for One being our actual final big bad and everyone ending happy. I don't know. It's weird to say it's not something I would want. Because Shigaraki dying is what I feel like needs to happen, but that's me. I understand this is as a writing choice. Horikoshi does whatever he wants, and as a writing choice, I can't say saving Shigaraki and redeeming him, or not even redeeming him, just saving Shigaraki and, helping him somehow. It's not like it's necessarily the worst writing choice ever, but it feels wrong. At least to me. This is just me. I'm wondering, do any of y'all feel like this? I may just be weird, but as Midoriya notes, countless people died. And forget, him being able to forgive the fact that all his friends were literally almost murdered because of him and his own inability to fight Shigaraki and now his own willingness to not end Shigaraki as the threat he is. But all the people, your job as a hero is to save people. He literally contradicts himself on the same page. Countless people died. One for all is the power to save people, not to kill. But maybe it's just my utilitarian mindset coming in, but the existence of Shigaraki and the existence of All for One as a quirk and as a person, obviously, is too dangerous. He's too dangerous to be left alive, 100%, at least in my mind. The idea that not only does Midoriya think that he can save Shigaraki, a monster who has murdered countless people and plans to keep doing it the moment he gets control of his body back. A person who plans to destroy the world and doesn't care about what happens after. That kind of beast, that kind of being, in my mind, should not be allowed to persist because he's going to destroy everything, including himself. And while all the One for All users just go ahead and pat Midoriya on the back, we literally see the All Might Visage crying because he's happy for what Midoriya has decided and all that great stuff. That's all great. I love that. I'm glad they're all supportive of him. But as they've all mentioned, All for One is a blight on the world that needs to go. Quirk and Person, especially Person. So here's the thing. Saving Shigaraki, fine. I don't like it, but that's me from a writing standpoint. What is Midoriya going to do about All for One? What's the plan? What's the strat? You going to talk to him too? Because now that I know that Muscular is on your list to be talked with, now that I know that Shigaraki is on your list to be talked with, and I know that Overhaul, Stain, all of these malignant characters, the only real villain that in my mind, that at least is mentioned here, that Midoriya has fought, that actually has a tragic backstory, that doesn't involve the murder of multiple people, a lot of innocent people in the case of Muscular, Overhaul, Stain, Shigaraki, a bunch of innocent people who have done nothing wrong, that got murdered by those 4 people. The only person who really has a pass in my mind is Gentle. Because as far as I know, Gentle didn't kill anybody. He paralyzed the man by pure accident. But all these other 4 have intentionally gone out and committed heinous acts of extreme variety, including mass murder for at least 1, 2. I mean, it depends on how you define mass. But every single person here has murdered multiple people. Intentionally, with no regard. But Midoriya wants to forgive them. And he believes that if he had talked to them, things would have gone different. I'm sitting here like, why? What is... This, like I said earlier, this is the divide between Pencil, the guy who wants his characters to be written in a certain way, and Pencil that understands why characters are being written in a certain way. I personally don't like what Midoriya is doing. I personally don't like that the One for All supporters, instead of telling him to be what in my mind is a bit more reasonable, like, wait a minute, buddy, we've watched all these people you've interacted with, since we can do that, as they established, they've sensed and felt what Midoriya's felt and gone through. I feel like they should be like, whoa, buddy, there are some people that you can't be saving, but since Shigaraki's on that list, and apparently all these massive murderous villains are on that list, I'm waiting to see Shigaraki, not Shigaraki, I'm waiting to see Midoriya do it. Because that's the direction the narrative's taking. That's the direction Horikoshi wants to make Midoriya. He wants to make Midoriya the perfect savior of everybody and anybody. And he's going to do it. He's going to do it. If it doesn't happen, I'm proud of Horikoshi and I like it. However, the way this series has been written, the way Midoriya has been established to do whatever he wants because he's Midoriya, because he's our main character, and that means he doesn't have to change his ideology, he doesn't have to develop much as a character, he doesn't have to do much work at all for what he desires. I'm kidding. I know he worked really hard for One for All, being able to even hold it, and he worked really hard for learning how to kick and learning how to use less of his power. As much as I find those dumb, I understand he worked very, very hard for those. But in terms of like this moral philosophy, it's extremely childish, and I understand he's 16, but I guess that's the thing. I view all of these people that he, except for Gentle and La Brava, two actual victims of society and circumstance, and no, I can't even, Stain's a murderer. I can't rock with that. So I view pretty much all of these people that Midoriya talks about, he could have talked to and things would have gone differently. I view almost all these people, except for Gentle, as monsters beyond redemption. Especially someone like Shigaraki, who went out and murdered an entire city and caused the deaths of so many and plans to do much, much more. However, Midoriya doesn't view it that way. He views it as all these people can be saved and redeemed. And hopefully, they can be. And there we go. That's it. Like, really, not much happens in this chapter. It's just Midoriya reaffirming the same belief that he's supposed to save people that he's had ever since the beginning. And that's fine. For what Midoriya is fine. I was hoping for development out of this coma. I'm not going to lie. That's all I wanted. I wanted change. But we're not getting change. We're never going to get change with Midoriya. It's simply not the character he's meant to be. And that bores me. Not bores me. It annoys me. Because I'll admit, Horikoshi's bringing emotions out of me. He's bringing out annoyance. But that's the story Horikoshi wants to tell. And I myself, since I'm not Horikoshi, I cannot call this bad writing. Does it make sense to me? No. But I know it's going to make sense to a lot of other people. It makes sense to Midoriya. It makes sense to all the characters within the narrative that we've seen so far. So that's perfectly fine. Let Midoriya do Midoriya. He'll save everybody. The end. Fantastic. Only other interesting thing is that Midoriya never asked questions about these two mysterious people standing in the back. And at least, unless my perspective is a bit off, it looks like the original One for All user is talking to these two extra people in the back. Who are these two extra people? Why are they being mentioned? Apparently, Midoriya's going to get their quirks next. So I feel like we need to know who these people are. The fact that we haven't met them, a lot of people thought this was like Kirishima and Bakugo, like I mentioned before. Maybe not. Maybe these are people who existed already in the timeline, kind of, sort of. I don't know. I'm interested because I thought there were only 6 or 7 previous one for all users, but now these 2 are extra. At least I'm pretty sure these 2 are extra. So it'll be cool to see what their quirks are. Be cool to see Midoriya gain more power. That's it. I mean, that's the weird thing. I don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So those 8 are empty. So there have been 8 previous one for all users before Midoriya, and apparently those 2 are included. That definitely looks like Bakugo with those hand gauntlets. But regardless of that, hey, apparently they're gonna get the quirks. But Midoriya's gonna get the quirks. That's cool. Whatever. I've accepted quirks 100% now. It's mainly because I've just been like, I've given up. So I guess quirks are fine now. They're magic. They're magic. I think what got me mad at quirks before was I expected there to be like some sort of defined logic to them, but I don't know why I expected. The series wanted to give a defined logic, but obviously that was never meant to stick. So I'm completely fine with that. Quirks can grow at complete random and whatever they want based on circumstances. So sure, I'll wait for Midoriya to unlock the rest of the quirks. Can't wait to see him master them. That's all great. I think Midoriya's dumb. I can't say Midoriya's dumb. I think Midoriya's not ignorant. Like, what's the word? I think Midoriya is like too green. Like, in the sense that he believes he can save everyone. That seems like just a mindset, especially with the monsters he's talking about. Doesn't seem feasible to me. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's feasible? Do you think he's going to save everybody? I think he's going to save everybody. Do you think everyone should? I actually have a better question for all. Do you think everyone should be saved? Should Muscular have been talked down to and saved? Should Overhaul have been talked down to and saved? Should Stain have been talked down to and saved? Should Shigaraki be talked down to and saved after all they've done? Are they worth saving? Are they worth redemption? Are they worth all that? Now, once again, actually, you know what? Just focus on saving. Because technically, Midoriya didn't say he was going to save. No, he just said he was going to save them. He didn't say anything about redeeming them. I'm assuming, I hope saving them includes punching them in the jaw really hard. But if it doesn't, just tell me what you guys think. I want to hear it, because I know I've had really, probably super controversial thoughts so far, but I want to hear what you guys think about it. Regardless of that, thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.